Hello, good evening. Welcome everyone, and we will start pretty soon. Just waiting a few people to join us. And tonight will be a very interesting live session because it's about your experience as a project manager. And that's a very common question that happens, how best we can use our experience as a project manager when we are writing our career episodes. So yeah, pretty excited to that. And as usual, I'm just going to check if my setup is working while people they join. And hello, Mariana in Instagram. Yeah, thanks for coming. And I'm just going to check if can you hear me all right, Mariana in Instagram. I just would like to know if people can hear me. Let's see, and Facebook as well. If you guys can hear me on Facebook, if you can just put in the comments if you can hear me all right, I appreciate. Yeah, thanks, Mariana. Thanks for the feedback. And yeah, I think everything is working all right. If you are a project manager, or if you're into working as a project manager, how can you perhaps claim those experiences in the career episodes? How can you, which competencies are the ones that you can actually use your experience as a project manager? So it will be really helpful if you guys can send me questions or send me comments, so I can tailor my talk tonight. As you probably know, I usually think about the topics because some people, they send me questions, make comments. I see some comments in Facebook, etc. And then I think that, well, if people are asking questions or they making comments, it's because they probably not very sure, and I can probably help to clarify a little bit more. I don't know everything, but things that I don't know, I usually try to find out, so I can come here on a Sunday and bring a little bit more information for you guys. All right, 7:03. I think we'll wait another couple of minutes and we will start. Yeah, today certainly was a very good weekend. It's pretty much our first weekend with a little bit more relaxation on the home confinement, but it doesn't really mean that we can relax totally. We still got to keep our social distancing and washing hands and everything else, so we can help our community to overcome this crisis and get things back to normal. On the same time, if you do it responsibly, there's nothing wrong to go out and enjoy a little bit the sun, get some vitamin D. Yeah, today we went to, my wife and my daughter and myself, we went to do some shopping and went to Redcliffe to have some fish and chips. It was a bit windy just on the beach, but it's always nice to catch up with nature and catch up with to see what others are doing to get themselves distracted during this pandemic as well. All right, so 7:05, we're probably going to start. Hopefully I'm not going to get things in my throat tonight. Facebook, again, as I'm broadcasting in Instagram, that's Instagram in this camera there. And then in this camera, I've got YouTube. And in this camera, I've got Facebook. So sometimes if I'm looking to the side, I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to address my three audiences. So Facebook, if you guys are hearing, saying that you are hearing, I appreciate. So I don't really keep talking and then you guys not listening. All right, so welcome everyone to another Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube live session. And this session is number 46, where I now every Sunday at 7 p.m. I hold these live sessions every week. So there were a few extra sessions during my free workshop, but even so, I think I'm on week 43. Which means that almost 1 year of live sessions every week. So I'm trying not to fail a single week. So in the last 40 weeks probably, I've been doing every week a live session talking about any topic about the validation process or the engineering. So tonight I'll be talking about 3 important tips on how you can use your experience as a project manager, construction manager, when you are writing your career episodes of your CDR, your competency of development. For those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida, and also I'm a founder of www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created pretty much 1 year ago, and where I share value, content, and useful information, I believe, to your journey towards your engineering qualification, validation in Australia. I also share some information about the day-to-day of engineering here in Australia. I talk about other related engineering topics, for example, workplace health and safety, environmental management, some job opportunities as well. I've got to recruit and interview a lot of engineers and project managers as well. And interesting that a few weeks ago, my free workshop. Hi, Carlos, how are you? Yeah. And to be the next. Once you click on that button, there will be a registration page. You just in Facebook. The link is called bit.ly. Right, a little bit of a problem because, as you know, we can fall in a trap if we emphasize we are explaining, or even in a professional interview. Sorry, the elements, time, cost, quality, stakeholder management, risk procurement, integration, human resources. So they talk about all of scope, and they talk all about those items in the areas of expertise in project management. And they ended up forgetting that the assessment is about their engineering skills. But don't be disappointed. You can use some of those experiences, or you can use those experiences in some of the competencies. Obviously, if you just have experience as a project manager, it's going to be very difficult to demonstrate to address all the 16 competencies. But if you have a good experience as an engineer as well, you can certainly use your project manager experience to address few competencies. So again, you cannot forget that you are validating your qualification as an engineer and not as a project manager. And I'll share with you an example. When I was one day in one interview with Engineers Australia, I was part of the panel. A few years ago, to become a CPE, a Chartered Professional Engineer, you had to sit in a professional interview panel, which means that you are already a recognized engineer, and then you want to become the next step, a Chartered Professional, the National Assessor of Engineers Australia, and then another 2 engineers from the industry. And sometimes I was invited to attend those interviews. And one of the first things that the National Assessor from Engineers Australia, he or she was telling to the candidates, was to remind them that that assessment was an assessment of their skills as engineers, not as project managers, because they know that they tend to talk a lot about project management skills. So And the assessor was even very clear. He was saying, or she was saying, this is about your engineering skills. It's not about your project management skills. If you want to be validated as a project manager, you should go to a different organization to be recognized. So I'm going to share with you 3 tips to avoid falling into this trap of using an experience as a project manager. So tip number 1, if you're going to use soft skills, experience, obviously, as a project manager in any of the career episodes, there are few places and few competencies that you can use. So do it within the competencies in P 3.0 or professional and personal attributes. In the P number 2, there's also some competencies that you can use. So where it's appropriate to place those experiences as a project manager. For example, if you had a very good performance in communications management, it can be explored under PE 3.2, which is about effective oral and written communication. So in professional and lay terms, that is the name of the competency. So you can give examples of project meetings that you elaborated, project reports, etc. Daily pre-starts, even when you talk about safety, daily pre-starts, etc. Another example is when you are describing your experience in human resources management, HR management. It's one of the areas of project management. You can certainly, if you were a team leader, for example, or even as a team member, and you manage your own performance, you manage somebody else's performance, you had a trainee or intern that you manage their performance, your roles and people's roles within the team. So productivity was certainly improved. In this case, you could include that paragraph in the competency 3.6, for example, which is about team membership and team leadership. Tip number 2 is you can use and abuse of your experience in when you were managing, for example, project quality. So you can write about the standards and technical specifications that you used to monitor project quality, the service or an engineering activity that you performed. So in case of civil engineering, for example, I talk about that because I'm a civil engineer. For example, if you designed a structure, let's say a concrete structure, you could mention that you used, let's say in Brazil, a particular technical specification. For example, ABNT NBR 6118 from 2014, which talks about the design of concrete structures when you are preparing, for example, a beam design, or you design a beam, a concrete beam, and that you consider the predominant mechanism of deterioration related to the reinforcement, for example, such as carbon and carbon chloride action. So let's say that you mentioned that one of your considerations was that during the design, and then that was part of your quality management. And you can even use that particular experience under the competency 2.3, which is about design, and also about 2.4, which is about management of engineering projects. Because when you are managing quality, you applying project management tools, you are managing and monitoring NCRs, non-conformances reports, which is also about the management of engineering projects. As I said before, P2.3, which is about design processes, certainly you can use your paragraph number under that competency, and even under 2.1, which is the application of established methods, because you are following prescribed standard, you are following a technical specification. In this case, that ABNT NBR about the concrete structures. And just a reminder that if you're still not subscribed to my website, Please subscribe now so you can get in your email inbox news and updates and videos about engineering qualification validation, job opportunities, and the day-to-day of an engineer in Australia. You simply go to my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com. There is few buttons there that you can actually subscribe to my website, and then you will be receiving my emails with the news and videos that I release and publish pretty much every week. Tip number 3, how to use stakeholder management. Stakeholder management is one of the recent areas of project management that was included, and project managers, obviously, they do a lot of stakeholder management. So how can they use, or how can you use this experience in the career episodes? So this is certainly an area very widely used in project management. Obviously, the good project manager is always keeping the stakeholders informed about the status, about the project status, especially to avoid surprises during the project delivery. But how to explore this area within the career episodes? Well, every engineer or design engineer, for example, if you're doing a design, knows that one of the design fundamental principles is to consult and understand the customer's requirements. What will be the impacts for the users of the final product? How to obtain the best benefits for the main interested in the product, work or service. So this experience, when you are consulting stakeholders, when you are consulting the client, to understand really and confirm the scope, to understand the requirements, making sure that you're managing expectations so there's no difference, so there's no frustration in the end. So when you do this, you can use that experience to address some of the competencies. So if you write that you confirm the design scope and requirements with your customer, you could be including that paragraph number under the PE 2.3, which is about design processes. Or let's say that as part of your stakeholder management, you've prepared monthly project reports to keep your stakeholder informed. Then this paragraph you could be using under the 3.2, which is a competency about oral and written communication. So there are certainly a lot of examples that I could provide, but the time is limited. I say that these lives, they usually take about half an hour, and we are already 23 minutes. So I'll probably wrapping up now. And if you guys have any question here in Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, send me in the comments. If you send now, I can probably comment now. If you send later, I'll have a look, and then I will either do another video or I will reply directly in your direct in Instagram, or I'll send a message in Messenger in the Facebook. All right, guys. So these are just 3 important hints on putting your experience as a project manager when writing the career episodes for your CDR, your competency demonstration report. And during my free workshop that I mentioned that I'm going to hold in mid-June, I will certainly share many more tips about how to better prepare your CDR. I know that it's a bit complicated. Some guys are feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the career episode writing and summary statement and everything else. So during my free workshop, I try to share as many information as I can during that time, so I can help you to better understand how to write your career episodes, how to write your summary statement, for you to understand the whole process if you don't know, if you're new to this process. And to register for free, those ones in YouTube, and Facebook, in the video description, there is a link called bit.ly/registervf5 is the link to register to my free workshop that's going to happen in June. And so that's why it's very important. Those on Instagram, the link is in my bio. So there is a linktree/JersonIda. When you click that one there to open a box, the first button is to register to the free workshop. And for those, I was almost forgetting to say, for those that are not part of my Telegram group, validation, engineering qualification validation Telegram group, please, in Instagram, also in one of those boxes there, my link in my bio, there is a button that you can join my engineering qualification validation group in Telegram. Yeah, Jerson, but what is Telegram? Well, Telegram is an app like WhatsApp that I personally think is much better than people. And Telegram, each group can have, I think, 200,000 people. One day maybe I will have 200,000 people in my group, but nowadays I've got 430 when I publish the videos or when I confirm the dates of the workshop. I also send messages in my Telegram group. So if you're not part of the Telegram group and if you want to be, those in Instagram, you can go to my link and then join. You need to download the app first. And as promised, I said that I was going to give you my free ebook about the 10 challenges that most overseas engineers they face when they arrive in Australia. For those in YouTube and Facebook, there are 2 links. There is one link for the English version, and there is another link for the Portuguese version. And in Instagram, we'll actually put now I'll put the link in the comments now. Sorry for that. Ebook. Got to be careful because it is case sensitive. So if I make a mistake, you won't be able challenges. So the first link in Instagram is the English version, and I'll put now the link in Portuguese. Bit.ly ebook 10 desafios. Yeah, so it's a fairly easy ebook to read. It's about 35 pages. There are large fonts and a lot of pictures there as well, so it's easy to read. I tried to compile the 10 challenges that I faced when I arrived here in Australia, and I believe that it could be beneficial for you guys if you guys just arrived in Australia or planning to come in Australia or thinking about your professional career here in Australia. I talk about visa, I talk about the validation process, I talk about recruitment obstacles, your resume, cover letter, interview. I talk about workplace health and safety. I talk about environmental management. I talk about if you are considered to be overqualified, which is a very common characteristic for us overseas engineers. So if you have any questions, please write down in the comments or send me an email. My email is admin@engineersinaustralia.com. And if you have any suggestions for the next live session next Sunday, please let me know if you want me to talk about any particular subject, engineering subject, or the validation process. So I would like to thank you very much for your participation, and I'll see you again next Sunday here on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Next Sunday, 7 p.m. Brisbane time. Thank you very much, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mariana.